Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and as you can tell by the background, it's another episode of the Aaron and Roger Show. So it's like 26 or 28 degrees outside today and snowing in Alabama, and that's not okay. But Roger's got a nice heated shop over here. We got more work we need to get done on the Trans Am, so we decided today was a good day to do it. So he's got it up on the lift, and first things first, we're gonna start mocking up the exhaust so that we can attach to his old exhaust that's already here. So we just gotta make some pipes that go from the headers, come down, hook here on both sides, and then put O2 sensor bungs in, so when we run the computer, we can do those. So we got that to do. We got new subframe bushings to do. We got a new intake. We got new accessory brackets. We got all kinds of work we need to do to get this thing ready to basically get down to doing the fuel system and the computer and finishing it up. So let's get started. Okay, so I have these bins that I've got left over from another project. If I take it and put it up there and push it up to where I've got decent clearance between the exhaust and the floor, I can shave that off and I'll be able to weld that side over there, and then we can fill this side in. I'll make a piece to fill that in. And then over here, that piece is basically holding itself up, and it'll go up all the way to where I can weld it after I trim this down. So what I'm gonna do is, right now, I'm gonna mark where our O2 sensor bungs are gonna need to be, which we should be okay if we put one like right here. And we should only need one, but I'm gonna go ahead and do two of them. So we should be all right with our other one right up there on top. So now we'll get these pipes pulled back out. We'll drill holes where the O2 bungs need to go. We'll shave off what we need to shave off, and then we'll be able to set it back up in there, see how it fits. So let's keep going. All right, so I went ahead and got this shaved off like we needed to on my lines I drew up there. And this side, it's already done. We got our bung welded in. I got it welded to our collector up there. All we gotta do is come back in and weld it back here, but I gotta wait until I got everything put together on this side before I can put that up there where I can weld on it. So we'll get our tube put up in here. I got that now. Oh, I'm all backwards. You can see it fits up in there really good. Doesn't have any gaps. We can kind of twist it around a little bit where we want it to be. So now that we know it's going to fit, we'll take this down, and Roger's got a hole saw over here that's the right size for that O2 bung. We'll go ahead, put our O2 bung in there, and then get it put back up in place, and we'll tack weld it to our collector, and then we'll pull our whole collector down. We'll weld it all up, put it back up in there, and then we'll be able to weld the rest of the exhaust together, and the exhaust portion will be done.
I wouldn't mess you up by doing that, would I?
No, you're fine.
twist it back to you just a little bit.
Huh?
The bottom, come back just a little bit. Okay, right there. It's been shorter, huh?
I don't know how good that is, but it's gonna be good enough. All right, now get this back out of here. Burned myself a couple times. You gotta take those studs out to get it in and out easier, but it's easier to get the studs out when it's not in there. All right, we'll let that sit there and cool off for a few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and put it up in there. We'll get our studs and our bolts, our nuts put back on it to hold it in place, and then we will go ahead and weld it at the back on both sides, and we'll have our exhaust project done. All right, I got this all welded up all the way around, both sides. Looks pretty good for being under the car and you'll never see it. We got our gaskets in now. We got it all bolted up tight on both sides. The exhaust is done. So we do have subframe bushings, and I mentioned that we were gonna change those. But we talked about it, and we're not gonna do it this video. These front ones aren't that bad, but the back ones are really bad, and it's causing a lot of flex. But with the higher horsepower motor and stuff, we were talking, and we're gonna put subframe connectors on it. So we're gonna wait and do the subframe connectors and subframe bushings at the same time. So Roger's gonna go ahead and lower this thing down. We got a whole bunch of stuff: intake, accessory brackets, fuel rails, throttle bodies, all kinds of stuff that we can do in the engine compartment. So we're gonna get to that now. All right, we got the car back down. And as I mentioned in the last video, this intake way too high, which brought the alternator up too high with the accessory bracket and all that stuff. So before we get into anything else, Roger ordered a new bracket for the accessories. He ordered he got a car water pump, which we're not sure if we're gonna use or not yet. And he got a new intake, and I'm really excited to see what the intake looks like on the car. So we're gonna get the intake out, get it set on there just because I wanna see it. And then we'll work on getting it installed and fuel rails and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanna set it on there and see what it looks like. So we'll do that. Got fancy stuff here. Fabricated aluminum. Low intake. And that is definitely a lot lower, and it's definitely gonna clear the hood by like 8 inches. So pretty cool. I like it. So it's got to be built. We got to put injectors and fuel rails and throttle body and all that stuff on it. But for right now, I just wanted to set it on there and see what it looked like. So we'll pull it back off because we still got to put in knock sensors and knock sensor harness and all that kind of stuff. And we'll build the intake before I put it on because it'll be a lot easier to assemble it out here on a table than it will be in the car. So we're going to pull it back off and we'll get to work on the other stuff, and we'll bring this shiny, cool looking intake back later on. You know what would look really cool? We had a big Harmon garage sticker right down the middle of it.
You gonna make us one?
Sure. Alright, we got our knock sensors that I should probably take the covers off of before I put in there. Alright, got our knock sensors in, run that back there. Next thing we're going to do is start figuring out these brackets for the front. I'm going to look over the instructions a little bit, get stuff laid out so I even have a clue what I'm doing. And then I'll show you guys what we got. I'll tell you who it's made by and all that in case you're interested in using a similar one. And then we'll start getting it put on there and see how everything's going to turn out. Okay, so here's our bracket. I gotta go over there again and look and tell you the brand. I don't remember off the top of my head. But we went and got a Camaro power steering pump. We switched over from the truck one because this bracket had to have the Camaro style. So Get that all tightened down. Just hold it fits in here.
Just a little bit.
That's good, don't go too crazy. Strip out that head.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good with it.
Alright. And then the alternator. I'll loosen that up a little bit. That's the adjustment for this. There you go. A little more. Oh, no. That's fine, that's fine. Alright. Alright, if you're doing a similar swap to this and want to know what this is, it's a Bill's Hot Rod Co. 916-68041. And that's that bracket that uses that power steering pump. That's the original alternator off of the truck that we pulled this motor out of. And it fits fine, and it's got an idler pulley, and then I'll bring you guys in a little bit and show you. But it's got an idler pulley over on that side that it changes to. And then it's the car, it uses the car accessory. So we've already put a car water pump on. We're gonna have to switch over to the car harmonic balancer. We ordered one and it didn't show up in time for the video. So we're gonna move on past that and we'll worry about that later. So next thing we're gonna do is press our power steering pulley back onto the power steering pump. And then see what it's looking like after that. All right, now this is just a typical install. Now, this doesn't press all the way on here. So, we just got to kind of press it, and Roger's going to watch it from the side. And when it's lined up with the other pulleys, we're going to stop. Now, this is the truck power steering pump pulley, but best I can tell, other than it being a little bit larger in diameter, it's the same as the car one. I mean, it presses on the pump the same and all that stuff, so. Just gotta come on more.
Hit it just a little bit. Or do you think that's it?
Huh?
Is that it?
It looks like it's centered in that. Let's see.
Pretty close, huh?
Yeah, that's real dang close. we can go on just a tad more.
They ain't hitting.
Huh?
They ain't hitting.
Yeah.
We can always go some more if we need to.
Yeah, we can always go more if we need to, and we can always back it off a little bit if we need to. So. There it is, that's on. And this isn't
Tight.
That's not tight. When it's tight, it'll pull up a little bit more. But it all looks like it's pretty well lined up. It's free, not touching nothing. I call that a win. And then the original reservoir for that isn't gonna work. So we're gonna have to, because you kind of flip the pump over for that bracket, so we're gonna have to get an external reservoir that will mount over here on the inner fender or something, and it'll just run a hose up to it. So not a big deal. I honestly might just make something because it'll be cool and unique. So. All right, that's that. I'm gonna grab the other camera, bring you guys over and show it to you from the front and stuff so you can see what it all looks like and show you that other bracket on there. And then I think the next step's gonna be building the intake. We'll get it put on. All right, so here it is. That's the Bill's bracket. We got a power steering pump down here. It moves our alternator over off to the side up here. It's got an idler pulley here and then an idler pulley over here. Once again, we're gonna have to change our harmonic balancer pulley. We should have had one, but a store that I'm not gonna mention screwed up and we didn't get it. So when we get that, we'll do that. And then as far as power steering pump and stuff, we're gonna get a external reservoir, and then we got to make a pressure line or get a pressure line that'll work there. So that's all on, that's done. It turned out really good. I think it's pretty cool. And next thing we're gonna do is we got our intake that I showed you a little bit ago over here, and it comes with fuel rails and a crossover and a throttle body and all that stuff. And we're going to assemble it over here on the table before we put it in the truck. So we're gonna get to that and keep on going. All right, got our intake here. Like I mentioned, we're gonna go ahead and assemble it. Gonna go like that. We took our stock injectors out of the other intake, but we did get an injector O-ring kit so we could put new injectors in. You got your bigger one, it goes up at the top. And then there's this kind of, I guess you'd call it like a seat down there. They didn't come with the kit and they're in good shape, so we're gonna leave those. Real quick. And then you can use Vaseline or basically any kind of grease or anything. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on our O-rings here. You wanna make sure you don't get it down by the nozzle. Gonna put a little bit of grease on our O-rings here. So when I go to put these in, we don't tear our O-ring, because you tear an O-ring, not fun. All right, so I just got to do that 7 more times, and then we'll come back. Actually, I'll do it 3 more times. I'll bring you guys back, we'll put these fuel rails on, and then continue on. All right, got all the injectors put in. I got this fuel rail put on that side, and now we have to do this one. So it's got these brackets here that bolt here, and then the rail slides down over the injectors, and then there's bolts that go through the rails to hold them. So when I did the other side, I put the rails on and then went back and put these brackets on. But I'm gonna try to put these brackets on first on this side. I might leave them a little loose, and then try to put the fuel rail on and then bolt it up. So. So there's like little notches in this side that sit on that bracket, so you know that goes to the inside. Make sure that the injectors are lined up. There we go. And kind of get one end started. Work our way over. All right, there we go. Now we got these bolts. There we go. Right here. Nuts go on the inside. Next. I don't know if it's me or what, but I'm having a heck of a time getting these nuts started today. Get the right size wrench to hold these nuts here. Tighten our rails down. Alright, we'll go back and make sure. These are tight. Okay. Now, we got our fittings, and I would think that, in my opinion, yeah, that'll work. So I'm gonna have my fuel come in driver's side rear. I'm gonna use a Corvette fuel filter that has a regulator and a return built into it. So I don't have to run a return off of my intake. So I've got my fuel line in back here. I'm gonna run this across the front, and then I'll put a plug in back here. Put our fittings in. Can you get me probably a crescent wrench would be best for these. Alright, I don't have an AN wrench here, so I'm going to be careful with a crescent wrench so we don't mar these up. We need that, Roger? Oh, okay. We can use this crescent wrench on that too. All right. Put our fuel crossover on here. Roger's wife don't want to be on camera, and she was over there working in her little room. She walked by and like snuck out. It's kind of funny. That's why we were smirking and laughing. TV's not for everybody. So. All right, now I'm gonna shut you guys off here for a second. I'm gonna clean up my mess that I made. Then I want to make sure we got a clean towel, because I'm gonna take this intake and flip it over upside down. Because that way I can put the O-ring gaskets for the flanges in here, and I'll go ahead and it'll be just as easy to put the throttle body on with it upside down as it is right now. So, be back in a few. Whoop-ah, whoop-ah, whoop-ah. All right. We got our throttle body. It's a big one. Yeah. It came with the intake deal. The whole setup, it all came together. So it's a little bit bigger, but it'll be fine. And when Roger decides he wants to go twin turbos and race this thing and whatever, we already got a big throttle body for it. So. All right. Okay. Back here, there's 4 vacuum ports. We got one set up for our vacuum brakes, and that should be all the vacuum that we need. So we went ahead and plugged the other 3 ports. And now the last thing we should have to do is put our O-ring seals in here. And then we can go put it on the car. I like the way those fit. Don't have to worry about them falling out while you're putting the intake on. Do you know where this came from? Online somewhere? Alright, well, that ain't a big deal, Roger. We're not sure where this came from. He ordered it online, but it's a really nice piece. Very well built. Came with everything that we needed, bolts wise, and the only thing that didn't come with is the injectors and plugs to put in these vacuum ports if you didn't use them. And I had to put the throttle position sensor and the idle air control valve in here out of a different throttle body. But other than that, it came with everything, and it's a really nice piece. So if we find out where it came from before I edit it, I'll add it in there. But otherwise, it came from the internet.
It came from FedEx.
Came from FedEx, yeah, they dropped it off. All right, here we go. Man, I don't know how I pulled that off. I got the bolt holes lined up perfect. I will take it.
Lot washer.
Huh?
You get the lot washer too?
Yeah, I got a lot washer too. Alright guys, I got this set on, all assembled, set on here. We're gonna get these bolts in here and get it tightened down and torqued. And then I'll bring you guys back. Alright, got the intake all bolted down. And I guess you could say torqued. I got it good and tight with an Allen wrench. I'm probably gonna get an Allen socket that fits it and come over with a torque wrench and actually torque it down. But it looks really good. You guys may notice that the throttle body is upside down compared to the way it was when I put this together and when I brought it over and set it down on here. And the reason that is because the throttle body like stuck up really far, and this vacuum port here was like sticking way out of it. It almost made it to where I thought we were gonna have clearance issues with the hood. So I took it off and flipped it over, which is gonna change my throttle pulls and stuff, but I'm gonna have to make brackets for that anyways because we don't have any throttle brackets for it at this time. So I'm gonna have to do all that anyways, so it's no big deal. So I'm gonna try it that way. If it doesn't work, then we'll take it off, flip it back over the other way, and figure out what we got to do from there. But for right now, me and Roger and I both think that it looks a lot better this way, and I think it's going to work out better this way, height-wise and just overall, because I've already got my cables over there, and I'd rather hook them up on that side. So we got quite a bit done, maybe not as much as we wanted to. I wish that dampener pulley would have came in, and yeah, so, but we're getting closer. We're holding off on putting the radiator and the electric fans and stuff in because it'll be a lot easier to do that pulley without it in the way. And next thing, I'm gonna sit down with Roger and we're gonna go over and order the fuel system, and I'll tell him what he needs and he can go ahead and get that coming. And yeah, fuel system, terminator, computer, and this thing will be running. We still have to shorten the drive shaft. We're gonna do that ourselves. I'll probably make a little video on that, and we'll do the fuel system. Next video, potentially, next video on this, we might be firing it up. Might be 2 more videos, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are thinking it's looking as good as we do, and it's coming out good. And we got our exhaust done down there. We got our intake and our bracketry and all that stuff, and everything's working out pretty good. So that's gonna do it for this one. Appreciate everybody watching. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.